Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a January update. So the first part of the video is going to be art and illustration related, and then the second half is going to be just what I got up to in January and also some monthly favourites as well. So if you watched my previous video where I talked about my art goals and New Year resolutions, you'll know that this year I'm trying to do this project where I work on my portfolio and alternate between doing book illustrations and editorial illustrations. Over January, my project was to do The Secret Garden. My plan was that I was going to do 6 illustrations and a book cover. And I was meant to get it all done by the end of January. So did I get it all done? Well, the answer is no. But I think I did make quite good progress. Quite often I am quite sort of ambitious with my projects. I'd started to feel a little bit stuck. There were lots of different stages to the project that I was doing, and everything just took a lot longer than I expected. The different stages of the project were reading the book, researching the project, doing the thumbnails and just rough sketches. Then to help me with the composition, I do this trick where I cut out the different sort of objects or characters in black or just dark paper so that I can then move things around, and this is just something that I find helps free me up if I'm getting a little bit stuck. And I then did a bit more sort of composing in Photoshop, moving things around, and the Secret Garden illustrations that I did were mostly done in Photoshop, but whenever I do make something that is digital, I always like to include lots of handmade textures. So I make my own textures with charcoal, and I do sort of different patterns and stuff. I can then layer these in Photoshop. One of the problems I find with Photoshop is there's the undo button, and you can keep sort of working on something and then changing it, but that's also the thing that I do really like about it. I like being able to experiment and move things around, and quite often something will happen with the image where I'm sort of just playing around with different colours or moving something from one area to somewhere else, and I can even sometimes just do something by accident and then look at it and think, oh, that actually looks quite good. And I think that is something you wouldn't necessarily get if you're working traditionally, although it depends on the type of medium that you're using. I guess if you were doing something that is quite sort of playful, like a traditional collage, you would maybe still have that same effect. But for me, I really enjoy moving things around in Photoshop and having sort of that freedom. But I think something I need to try and learn is knowing when it's done. There was a time as well during the project when I was having quite a lot of doubts, and I was thinking, I'm not sure if I like any of these images. I don't know what I'm doing with this. Should I be doing them digitally? Should I be doing something else? And then I was having those thoughts, and then I was thinking, oh no, I quite like this. And actually I'm really pleased with all the images now that I've finished them all. But there was a stage in the middle where I wasn't quite sure where it was all going and if I liked it. I think in art as well, there's just so many different choices that you can make, and if it's something that you're creating, even if you're creating something that's based off a book, there's still so many decisions that you have to make. It's quite hard to try and build your confidence up to sort of tell yourself, that you're going to stick with the decisions that you've made. I remember listening to the Make It Then Tell Everyone podcast. Is that the name of the podcast? The one that's got Dan Berry in it. Anyway, I remember the piece of advice that he gives himself when he's inking. He tells himself that the Dan of the past made all the previous decisions and that basically he's going to stick to them. So as he's inking, he's not second guessing what the decisions that he's already made. And I think that that is a really good piece of advice to follow. So if you are in a project, by all means, it's good to try different mediums and it's good to try moving things around, but it's also a good idea to just sort of follow through with those ideas that you had that at one point you were sure that you wanted to do, and then your brain is like, no, don't do that, do this instead. So for January, my project was to do 6 illustrations of The Secret Garden. When I was reading the book, I was making notes of different sort of themes and things that I wanted to draw. If you haven't read the book of The Secret Garden or seen the film, it is about a girl called Mary Lennox. She lives in India and then she moves to Yorkshire because her parents die, and she ends up moving into this big house. She feels very isolated. So I wanted to create an illustration that showed Mary's sort of isolation and loneliness at the beginning of the book. So for the first illustration, everything feels quite sort of separate because I created these branches that sort of like, so she's sort of cut off, if that makes sense. With the colour palette, I wanted everything to be sort of very grey and gloomy, and also this reflects in the book like the time of year. Yeah, and I like how the book sort of uses the seasons to do something. Okay, this isn't really going to be a video about me talking about books. I think it's called Poetic Fallacy or something. Is that what it's called? Where like the weather reflects the atmosphere or like the mood, something like that. Anyway, another thing that I was trying to do was to incorporate some of the style that I do with my pencil drawings to my digital work. I'm going to talk about style in another video, but I think sometimes, I don't know if it's just me, you can have slightly different styles depending on which medium you're using. For ages I didn't really feel that I had a style, but I feel that I'm starting to get things that I like, and it's just a case of kind of smushing them all together really, I guess. So I tried to use some of the same colours that I use when I'm drawing in pencil, and I tried to replicate the same sort of style, relatively sort of simple, quite cute-ish faces. For the second illustration, I wanted to do something that showed the relationship between Mary and Martha. Martha is one of the maids in the house, and Mary is used to having servants who do everything that she wants, and Martha is quite different and sort of speaks her mind, and they start building this friendship together. Martha also has a younger brother called Dickon, and she describes how Dickon plays on the moors and makes friends with all the animals. So I was trying something a little bit different for the third illustration. I wanted to have Mary sort of repeating and the spiral of ivy leaves, just to suggest this movement that she's searching in the grounds for this secret garden that she's heard about. I played about with the image. At one point I was going to have a block of colour that would go in the shape of the spiral, but I thought that this actually detracted from the shape of the ivy leaves, and I actually liked it better when it was sort of stripped back a bit. I think I found as well that I prefer the images that I've done that don't have so much going on in the background. And I think I also found it easier to do when the illustrations were set outside, because I felt that I didn't need so many things, and maybe outside feels more open, whereas inside I feel that you need more sort of structure. But yeah, maybe that works well. Illustration number 4 was the last one that I finished. In fact, I was rushing to finish it this morning, but actually it's come out as my favourite one. Again, I think I really like it because there's not too much going on in the background. I created this effect where I was just sort of painting bits of grass, and then I was just playing around with the different blending options, and some sections of it are blended to sort of make it lighter and some are blended to make it darker. Fairly simple, but I think it's actually come out quite nicely. And this was just an image to show the friendship between Mary and Dickon, and the fact that Mary had found something that was hers and she started to feel like she was belonging somewhere. The next illustration is where Mary finds her cousin Colin. She hears this strange cry in the corridors, goes down and finds this boy who turns out to be her cousin. He has a very pessimistic view of the world, and he's been told that he'll never walk. I like how in the secret garden there's lots of themes of things being hidden and discovered, and there's a bit of sort of mystery. So I wanted to have lots of like curtains. I made the bed a lot higher as well, just to make it appear a bit more sort of like ominous and make the characters feel a bit smaller. And the last image is of the 3 characters dancing in the garden. The background here is sort of suggested, and again at one point I was going to have these roses as more blocks of colour. Then I took away that block of colour and found that actually the pattern works really well, sort of being able to see through it. Overall, I'm really pleased with how the illustrations turned out. Ideally I would have liked to have done a book cover as well, but possibly that was a bit overly ambitious. Let me know what you think of the illustrations in the comments. I'm now going to tell you what else I've got up to in January. So it was my birthday in January, and me and my family went to have afternoon tea at Sun Pier House, which is in Chatham in Kent. And they do a vegan option, which is what me and Tom had. They also do a gluten-free option as well. One of my friends who watches this channel commented that in lots of the videos we seem to be eating cake. But yeah, I wish that we did eat cake all the time because I like cake. But I think just any time that I see any kind of vegan cake or anything, I do get quite excited. And after that we went to Playopolis, which is a games cafe in Rochester. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but me and my husband are quite big game fans. So yeah, we've got quite a good collection of board games. In fact, if you want a games recommendation, just pop it in the comment and let me know what other games you enjoy, and I'll see if I can recommend something for you. But yeah, this month was a month for playing quite a few games. Katie and Matt came over the week before my birthday and we played junk art. Basically you have different challenges where you have to build these blocks up. But yeah, it's got an element of Jenga. Basically sort of you have to be good at balancing things. But yeah, also shout out to my friend Matt, who has a YouTube channel. He is an animator and he creates these really interesting animations where he does some research about different sort of strange and weird topics, and then he creates an animation around that. Yeah, his channel is called Infrequently Asked Questions. I will link it in the description below. But yeah, so go check him out. One of the games that me and Tom have been playing a lot in January is a game called Azul. This is a game for 2 to 4 players, and you basically have tiles on a board. It's a very simple game, but it has got some strategy to it, and the tiles are really pretty. You have to get the tiles that you want, build them on your board, and if they're touching each other you get more points. So the order in which you put the tiles on gets you more points. So we've been playing that most nights. For my birthday, one of the presents that I got was a Looming sunrise clock. I don't know if you've heard about them. It was something that I'd started researching because I've been finding it really difficult to wake up during the winter months. See, what it does is you set your alarm, and then half an hour before you want to wake up, it will get suddenly brighter and brighter. And the idea is that it's meant to simulate like the sun rising. And I find it really useful because when I wake up and it's dark, I just think I don't want to get out of bed. Yes, I've been enjoying that. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be making these monthly updates a regular thing. So I will create a playlist, which I will link in the description, and I will be talking about what illustration projects I've been up to, and then also any sort of social life things and favourites that I've got up to as well. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Hope you're all having a good day, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.